This region around the Great Lakes has been called the heartland. When it comes to agriculture, there's hardly an area in the world that compares.
Everybody, just hold on. I don't know what we're going to have here.
That's what brings the viewers back. That a boy.
Manage money, piling in.
Double digits higher.
So at this point, we're in kind of uncharted territory.
There's a lot of money on the sidelines.
So that was a crazy one.
Well, hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to the AgYield War Room. I am Jack Coakley, AgYield Marketing Manager, everyone's favorite backup host, and aspiring shopping mall Santa Claus. If you have any questions or comments, like that one, I feel like it's a good retirement plan for me. Anyway, if you got any questions or comments, feel free to join the discussion. Post a comment anywhere you see fit. We're always answering questions and comments at info@agyield.com. Let's shoot it over to Brian with some overnight numbers.
Thanks, Jack. A little higher overnight. Sep corn 401 up 2.5. August beans 1007 3/4 up 2, and Sep Chicago wheat up 2 3/4 at 543 1/4. We also had a couple export sales reported this morning. 135,000 metric tons of corn to China for 25-26, and then another 284,000 to unknown corn sale. 84,000 for 24-25. And 200,000 for 25-26. We also had export sales reported for the week ending in July 17th. Corn came in pretty good here. For 24-25, estimates were between 100 to 800. They came in at 643.1. For 25-26, looking between 400 and 800, came in at 733.9. So good numbers there for corn there for the week. And then for beans, a little disappointing. 24-25 looking for between 100 to 350, came in at 160.9 on the low end, and for 25-26 looking between 250 and 500, came in at 238.8. So a little down on the beans there. Wheat came in actually pretty good, above estimates. They were looking between 250 to 500 for the 25-26 marketing year. They came in at 712. So some pretty decent numbers for corn and wheat there. So we'll see what today brings.
Thanks for that, Brian. Dustin, let's start with you. What is most certainly going to be a part of the YouTube thumbnail or YouTube title? China buys corn. What's going on there, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's encouraging to see. I mean, they weren't large sales, but first time we've seen China on the books for a while. 135,000 metric tons of U.S. corn to China in 25-26, and then we also had an unknown sale. 284,000 to unknown destinations at the same time, most of which is going to new crop, 200,000 new crop. So, is this the beginning of something more interesting? I know the U.S. and China are trying to finalize some of these deals right now and talking about extensions. We have to remember back there in January 2020, that was the one thing that did come out of the U.S.-China trade wars. First thing that came out of it was U.S. ag purchase agreements. So if they are talking about extensions or trading access to chips, wouldn't be surprised to see, that as one of the unexpected items that would possibly be bullish, right? Right now, I think that we've been not real hopeful that China will be showing up as a big buyer. So all of a sudden you start seeing these small sales trickle in without much contact to them. You start to wonder what could come out of it.
Certainly. Justin, anything to add there?
Yeah, the only the thing there too is there was a announcement. It actually came out a couple days ago that China is suspending the Section 301 tariff exclusion starting August 1st. So starting in 2020, when the kind of trade war started, and China put tariffs on a lot of products, they had a big exclusion list, mostly agricultural products, or I should say including a lot of agricultural products. And that's set to expire August 1st. So are there just some buyers in China, getting some cheap corn, to see if that is extended before any kind of tariffs are placed on ag products. So I think that could be a big reason too. So all around trade war, and probably just trying to, figure out, we have really cheap corn. I wouldn't be surprised to see purchases going into that August 1st date if there's no, extension or trade deal announced or anything like that. So encouraging either way, but to Dustin's point, is it something exciting? Is it just, a deadline and just getting some, cheap calls bought, so to speak, on seeing how that plays out? Other than that, I think we're still, I think we're just in this mode of, we've traded. I think we're trading big yields in corn. I think we're trying to figure out how big. Obviously we've had some questions on pollination issues and things of that nature, but the markets, kind of shrugged that off just because the weather's been, so good in a lot of key areas. So I think we're probably going to need some kind of an interesting trade deal. We're going to need maybe a change in weather over the weekend, something like that, to really turn corn up and sustain a rally, in my opinion. Beans, everyone kind of knows, beans are made in August, so it's just so hard to know what you can tell, right? Beans are just kind of hovering between all these moving averages, just flatlined. I think I said it yesterday. Between the 25-day, 50-day, 100-day, 200-day moving averages are all within 9 cents of each other. So that just shows you how sideways we've been going, kind of waiting for new news to break us out of that range.
I did want to throw in one just comment too, just like Justin talked about how we have cheap corn. We do have cheap corn. We are also holding on to, the projection to hold on to a fairly large portion of total global corn held outside of China as a percentage of carryout, which I don't have on this chart, but this is just total global corn stocks compared to use versus if you were to segregate China out of the equation. We're projecting, we just came off a 9.5% stocks to use for all use outside of China, including the exports that go to China. And then we're projecting, even after, like the 181.5 yield, 9.7% global stocks to use held outside of China. Most people, I think, are focused on the total global number, which is 21.4%, because they're including these massive Chinese stocks that we don't know that they have, or can't confirm. So you look back to back before these major revisions that happened in the 2018 timeframe, and the USDA basically took Chinese data and just backtracked it for the prior 5 years, right? That's all built into this blue line. When we go back to before that reconciliation, we were running much lower Chinese stocks numbers. That's why the orange and the blue matched closer to that time frame. Right around 11, 12, we're running around the same global stocks to use ratios as we were back then. We just don't feel it because we've become the world's residual holder of corn. And now this is taking into account the USDA's estimate of Brazil's corn. There's some that are 15 million metric tons larger. So it might not be that big of a concern. And obviously the South Americans have gotten a lot better at growing larger corn crops. So every 6 months, a hemisphere has another large crop now. But I would say we are the cheapest part of the world, and maybe that's just it, some private buyers like Justin mentioned. But certainly doesn't, you look at this chart, if you had no knowledge of where prices are, you wouldn't expect the U.S. grower to be held this far underwater looking at that chart.
Certainly. Ben, anything to add?
I still, I'm looking at corn. Love seeing export sales, but I think we need to see them daily. Ideally, you would like to see larger quantities, but it's probably going to be a hand-to-mouth thing for a while. I don't think anyone wants to really scoop the market higher if you're an end user or an importing nation, and I don't think there's any reason for them. But we'll see if we can string together, 7 or 8 days of these kinds of purchases. I thought it was interesting that we sold some corn for 24.25 this late in the year to them. So maybe that's a good sign of hand to mouth, and that maybe something doesn't jive because U.S. is being sold at a time when Brazil is getting into the gut slot of their harvest. Probably 60% harvested by now. You would think that corn would leave for there to go to China. So a lot of what ifs to play out here, but I think that's subtly a positive. Would love to see corn make a higher weekly close in the next 2 days.
Thanks for that, Ben. Anything else, guys, before we shoot it over to Ryland?
No.
Ryland, you're on.
All right. Well, I mean, new contract highs as per usual. So, I mean, once again, still kind of going strong here. It looks like wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a squeeze just from the shorts in this market. It just seems every single day, they're kind of on the outs here. But nonetheless, haven't really seen any new cash trade yet. But I think there was a lot of optimism after the Japanese and Philippines trade deal was announced yesterday. So it just seems that we're still feeding the bull here, even with this little bit of a down that we're seeing in choice and select box beef prices. The market really does not see any kind of supply coming back to the market to really shake this out, as it were. So we've got the cattle on feed report on Friday, the cattle inventory report, and it looks like there may be some caution kind of going in, but so far we are not seeing that whatsoever in the futures. So at this point, it seems like the market's trying to catch up to where cash is. And at this point, just waiting to see if cash is going to stay pretty steady and firm. And I think that's where the expectation is right now. Asking prices seen anywhere between 230 to 232. So I think that's likely where we're starting to see some initial trade before the end of the week. On the hog side of things, a little bit of liquidation in August, kind of a mixed close. I mean, we've put on $6 in 6 days, so it's been a really nice rally. I think just the fact that cash market staying relatively tight right here, but also still kind of trending higher. I mean, it seemed like the high side of cash was up to 118.5 the other day. So, I mean, there's still a lot of optimism here being brought forward. Plus, you had bellies up 377. So it still seems like it's a pretty fundamentally led bounce here. Wouldn't be surprised to see some producer hedging maybe run into a little bit of covering here before the weekend. But generally speaking, cash news still seems pretty firm right now. And I would imagine just may see that slow down in the next few weeks.
Thanks for that, Ryland. Unless anyone has anything else, I think we'll wrap for today. Tomorrow is Fun Fact Friday. Oh my goodness! It's my favorite time of the week. I'm constantly distracting Brian while laughing behind the camera. So if you tune in for that, it's always fun. And if you like what we're doing here, be sure to subscribe to the AgYield YouTube channel and get all the updates on what's going on with the War Room, when we're going live, any kind of additional shows we're doing, additional webinars. We're doing all kinds of fun stuff out there. So, and be sure to follow us on X and Facebook and YouTube. We're now officially on TikTok. Again, choreographed dances with Dan are coming. We have to work on that, but he's going to be talking about grain markets and dancing on our TikTok page. So subscribe now if you're ready to see that. That's enough for me, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the show. We will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
The War Room is proudly presented by AgYield. For over 50 years, the AgYield team has provided grain marketing and risk management solutions for growers across the country. Our veteran consultants harness cutting-edge technologies to pinpoint risk, optimize market performance, and protect your farm's profitability. Discover a new approach to farm revenue management at agyield.com.
Hey guys, Jack here. Be sure to support the show by hitting the like button, leaving us a comment, and subscribing to the channel for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.